Speaking clearly and confidently changes everything. It shapes how people see you, how you influence others, and how you feel about yourself. Imagine standing in front of a room, sharing your ideas without hesitation. Your words sharp and steady, your voice calm but powerful. That feeling, being fully in control of your speech, can open doors in your career, your relationships, and your life. Yet, many struggle with finding that voice or expressing themselves with real confidence. This audiobook will show you how to unlock that power. You'll learn simple but powerful ways to speak your truth with quiet strength and clarity. No gimmicks, no tricks, just honest, practical steps that help you become more articulate every day. Stick with me, and by the end, you'll know how to speak so others listen and respect what you say. Ready to own your voice and change your life? Let's get started. Chapter 1. Master your voice by speaking slowly with intention. There's something powerful about a calm and steady voice. It draws people in. It makes them listen. It communicates more than just the words. It reveals composure, confidence, and clarity. And yet, in a world that's moving faster every day, slowing down, your speech can feel unnatural. Most people rush their words without realizing it. They think faster, they react quicker, and they talk like they're racing the clock. But when you slow down, when you choose your words with purpose, you reclaim control, not just over how you speak, but over how you show up in every moment. Speaking slowly is not about dragging your words or sounding rehearsed. It's about presence. It's about showing that you are in control of yourself, that you are thoughtful, and that your words carry weight. If you speak too quickly, your message becomes foggy. People can sense your anxiety, even if they don't know what to call it. But when you slow your voice down, you create space for your thoughts, for your emotions, and for the listener to engage with you fully. This is not a natural habit for most people. It takes awareness, practice, and patience. You have to resist the urge to rush. You have to teach yourself to embrace silence and lean into the discomfort of stillness, because inside that stillness is where confidence begins to grow. A rushed voice often hides uncertainty. A calm voice reveals discipline. You become someone who doesn't need to shout to be heard. Someone who doesn't need to hurry to matter. That kind of presence earns respect without ever asking for it. The first step is awareness. You can't change what you don't notice. So, begin by observing how you speak throughout the day. Notice the speed of your voice when you're explaining something, when you're nervous, when you're in a rush, when you're angry, or when you're excited. Pay attention to your tone and pace. Record yourself if necessary, and listen to how you sound. Do you rush through your words? Do you interrupt yourself? Do you sound scattered or controlled? Once you build that awareness, you can start to shift. Start small. Slow down your speech in safe environments. At home, during casual conversations, or while speaking to yourself. Focus on your breath. Most people breathe shallowly when they speak too fast. Take a full breath before you start talking. Let the breath remind you that you're not in a race. You have time. Your words matter. There's no need to force them out quickly. You are in control. When you begin speaking slowly, you will notice how much more intentional your words become. You won't just be reacting. You'll be creating your message thoughtfully. This leads to fewer mistakes, clearer communication, and stronger relationships. People don't just hear your words, they feel your clarity. You give them the gift of understanding. But it's not just about communication. Slowing down your voice changes how you feel inside. It teaches you to stay grounded under pressure. It reminds you that your emotions don't have to dictate your reactions. When you can slow your speech even in stressful moments, you train your nervous system to stay calm. You develop mental discipline, and that becomes a powerful advantage in every area of life. Think about the people you respect most. Mentors, leaders, teachers, thinkers. How do they speak? Chances are they don't rush. They don't ramble. They don't try to win you over by talking fast. Instead, they choose their words carefully. They use silence strategically. They speak like they mean every word. That is what you are building, a way of speaking that commands attention without needing to raise your voice. A presence that doesn't beg to be noticed because it already is. In everyday life, practice slowing down by pausing more. Insert intentional breaks between your thoughts. Instead of running sentence after sentence together, stop, breathe, let the silence carry your message just as much as your words do. Silence isn't empty. It's a tool. It shows that you are thoughtful, that you're not just filling space, that you're listening as much as you're speaking. You don't need to sound like anyone else. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about sharpening your voice so that people hear you more clearly. Your words have power when they are spoken with purpose. Don't dilute them by rushing through them. When you slow down, you honor your message, you honor your audience, and you honor yourself. There will be moments when your emotions try to hijack your voice. Anxiety, anger, insecurity. These emotions want to push you into reactive speech. But you are stronger than that. You are not here to let your emotions control your voice. You are here to master it. And mastery means discipline. It means staying calm when you want to rush. It means staying intentional when you want to escape. This is how you become more articulate, by owning the space between your thoughts and your words. Slowing down also gives your listener time to digest what you're saying. We forget that people don't always process information as fast as we think. When you speak too quickly, your listener might miss your point entirely. But when you pace your voice, when you emphasize key points with patience, you help them absorb your message fully. That's how influence works. Not through volume, but through clarity. So much of speaking well is about how you carry yourself. Speak like someone who respects their own voice. Speak like someone who knows they belong in every room they enter. That doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from self-respect. And self-respect grows stronger every time you slow down and speak with care. Your pace is a reflection of your presence. If you speak too quickly, it can signal nervousness, fear, or lack of preparation. If you speak too slowly, it can feel unnatural or forced. But when you find that balanced pace, slow, steady, intentional, you come across as grounded, not rushed, not hesitant, just clear. That clarity is what people crave. That calm presence is what they remember. There will be moments when you stumble, moments when your voice cracks, moments when you forget what to say. That's part of learning. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're growing. Keep practicing. Keep showing up. Keep owning your voice. Progress isn't always loud. Sometimes the biggest change is found in the silence between two steady words. One of the most effective exercises you can do is reading out loud slowly every day. Choose a book, an article, or even your own writing. Stand in front of a mirror or record yourself. Focus on enunciating each word clearly. Don't rush through it. Feel each word as it leaves your mouth. Let the rhythm settle into your mind. The more you do this, the more your natural speaking voice will slow down and sharpen. In conversation, start small. Don't try to change everything at once. Focus on one thing: your pace, not your vocabulary, not your tone, just your speed. Notice how different you feel when you give yourself permission to slow down. Notice how people respond. They'll lean in. They'll nod. They'll stay with you because they can feel that you're not just speaking, you're connecting. And connection is the real goal here. Speaking is not about performing. It's about reaching people. It's about making them feel something real that only happens when you speak from a place of calm strength. When you slow down, you give yourself the room to be authentic. You stop pretending. You stop trying to impress. You just speak the truth clearly, simply, fully. When you master the skill of speaking slowly with intention, you carry that confidence into every area of life. Job interviews, business meetings, social events, even difficult conversations become easier because you know how to stay centered. You're not just reacting, you're choosing your words. You're not just talking, you're leading with your presence. This is not just a communication technique. It's a discipline, a daily practice of self-mastery. It requires effort, consistency, and humility. But it also brings freedom. Because once you know how to control your voice, you stop letting circumstances control you. You become the kind of person who speaks from the inside out. Not to impress, not to prove anything, but simply to express what matters. Every time you slow down your speech, you remind yourself that your voice is not weak. It's strong. It's focused. It's intentional. You are no longer rushing to be heard. You are already enough. You already belong. You don't need to compete for attention. You just need to speak with clarity, and the world will listen. So, take the next step. Practice today. Speak one sentence more slowly than you normally would. Pause before your next response. Breathe deeply before you speak. Choose your words with care. Repeat that again tomorrow and the next day. One moment at a time, you will begin to master your voice. Not just how it sounds, but how it feels. And that is the foundation of real confidence. You don't need permission to be heard. You don't need to rush your voice to matter. All you need is to slow down, stay present, and speak with intention. That alone will set you apart. That alone will elevate your presence, and that alone will begin to change everything. Chapter 2. Train yourself to pause before you respond clearly. Every moment you pause before speaking is a moment you reclaim your power. Most people react out of habit, not thought. They respond because they feel the pressure to say something quickly, to fill the silence, to defend themselves, to prove a point, to keep the conversation moving. But if you want to become articulate, if you want to speak with confidence, clarity, and influence, you must train yourself to pause, not hesitate. pause deliberately, calmly, intentionally. That pause is where your clarity begins. That pause is the birthplace of self-control. When you respond without thinking, you give away your presence. You allow your emotions, your ego, or your insecurities to speak for you. But when you pause even for a second or two, you create a gap, a space where you get to choose your words with awareness. A space where you align your response with who you truly are, not with a fleeting emotion. And in that space, something powerful happens. You stop being reactive. You start becoming deliberate. The ability to pause is not natural at first. It feels awkward. It feels like silence is exposing you, like people are waiting, like the pressure is building. But that's only because you're used to rushing. You're used to filling every second with sound. You've been trained to believe that speed equals intelligence, that quick responses mean you're sharp and competent. But speed without thought is noise. It's not clarity. And clarity is what creates real impact. When you pause, people notice, not because you're loud, but because you're present. You are showing them that you don't just talk, you think, you listen, you weigh your words. That earns more respect than the most impressive vocabulary ever could. People trust those who speak with intention because they sense the strength behind the silence. Pausing before you respond is especially important in moments of tension. When you're criticized, when you're asked a difficult question, when you're tempted to argue, defend, or snap. In those moments, the habit to speak immediately is strong. But that's when the pause becomes your greatest tool. You don't need to react instantly. You don't owe anyone an immediate reply. You owe yourself honesty. And honesty takes reflection. One breath, one moment of stillness can save you from saying something you'll regret. It can help you speak from composure, not from chaos. This discipline of pausing isn't just about communication. It's about mastery over your emotions. It's about not letting the noise of the moment control the message of your life. When you learn to pause, you train your mind to slow down. You start noticing your thoughts. You start seeing your patterns. And in that awareness, you begin to grow. The pause is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of power. People who speak too quickly are often trying to prove something. People who pause before they speak have nothing to prove. They are rooted. They are focused. They don't react. They respond. And that makes them stand out in every room. To build this habit, you need to practice it consciously. Start by slowing down in everyday conversations. Let someone finish speaking. Give yourself a second or two to think. Don't rush to fill the gap. Even if it feels uncomfortable, sit in it. Let the silence shape your answer. You'll find that your words become more meaningful, more precise, more aligned with what you really want to say. Train yourself to become comfortable with not rushing. If someone asks you a question, don't blurt out the first thought that comes to mind. Breathe, think, then speak. This doesn't make you look unprepared. It makes you look thoughtful. It shows that you value what you say, that your words are not random. They are chosen. Over time, this pause becomes a natural part of how you communicate. It becomes part of your presence. People will feel it. They'll notice that when you speak, there's weight behind your words. You don't just say things, you mean them. That's what creates lasting impressions. That's what builds influence. In difficult conversations, this habit becomes even more valuable. When someone challenges you or says something that triggers an emotional response, the urge to defend yourself is immediate. But if you've trained yourself to pause, you buy time. Time to check your ego, time to breathe, time to consider the other person's perspective. You gain the clarity to ask yourself, what outcome do I want? Do I want to escalate this, or do I want to resolve it with strength and grace? Most arguments escalate because people react too fast. One person says something hurtful, the other reacts, then back and forth they go. No one listening, just reacting. But when one person pauses, the pattern breaks. You stop feeding the fire. You speak from wisdom, not emotion. And often, that calm response changes the entire tone of the conversation. In leadership, the ability to pause before responding is critical. People look to you for stability. If you react emotionally or impulsively, you send the message that pressure controls you. But when you pause, even in chaos, you communicate steadiness. You become someone others can rely on. Your words carry more weight because they are not thrown out in haste. They are delivered with care. This discipline also helps you avoid misunderstandings. So often people speak without fully understanding the question or the other person's point. But when you pause, you give yourself time to process. You allow yourself to ask clarifying questions. You make sure you understand before you respond. That prevents confusion. That builds respect, and that makes you someone people trust. It's not just about verbal communication either. This habit of pausing seeps into every decision you make. You start becoming more reflective. In general, you don't jump into choices out of emotion or pressure. You stop and think. You evaluate. You align your decisions with your values. That's how you build a life of integrity. One decision, one word, one pause at a time. Practicing this skill requires consistency. At first, you'll forget. You'll speak quickly without thinking. That's okay. The point is not perfection. The point is awareness. Every time you catch yourself rushing, take a breath, reset, try again. That's how habits are built, through repetition, not through flawless execution. One effective technique is to count silently in your mind before you speak. When someone finishes speaking, count to 2. That's it. Just seconds. That small pause is enough to center yourself. Enough to make sure you're responding, not reacting. Over time, you won't need to count. Your pause will become automatic. You can also use physical anchors. For example, touch your fingertips together or take a slow breath before you respond. These small physical cues help trigger your mental reset. They ground you in the present. They remind you that you are in control. Another method is to mentally repeat the question or statement you heard. This buys you time. It also helps you understand the other person more deeply. When you repeat their words in your mind, you listen more actively. And active listening is the foundation of articulate speaking. As you build this habit, you'll start to feel more confident in conversations. You'll notice that you're less anxious. You won't feel the need to rush or impress. You'll become more comfortable with silence, more grounded in your message, and people will respond to that. They'll listen more closely. They'll respect your words more deeply Because you're not just speaking. You're thinking, choosing, delivering. Over time, this discipline transforms how you see yourself. You begin to feel like someone who is composed, deliberate and strong. You stop seeing silence as something to fear. You start seeing it as a source of power. You don't chase approval through quick words. You earn respect through intentional speech. There is quiet power in those who don't rush. They speak slowly but with impact. They pause but with presence. And when they speak, everyone listens. Not because they're loud, but because they are clear. That's the path you're walking now. You are training your mind to slow down. You are teaching your emotions to wait. You are mastering the space between stimulus and response. That space is where your real strength lives. You don't need to compete with noise. You don't need to fight to be heard. All you need is to pause, gather yourself, and then speak with calm clarity. That alone sets you apart. That alone makes your voice stand out in a crowded world. So, begin today. Start small. Choose one conversation and commit to pausing before you speak. Notice how it feels. Notice how the other person reacts and then do it again tomorrow. Keep practicing, keep refining, keep growing. This is the work of becoming articulate. Not flashy, not loud, but steady, clear, and grounded. In a world full of noise, the person who pauses speaks with the most power. Train yourself to be that person. Train yourself to pause, because in that pause is everything. The clarity, the courage, and the confidence to speak your truth fully and fearlessly. Chapter: Strengthen your words by choosing simplicity every time. If you want your words to carry real weight, speak simply, not vaguely, not passively, just simply. There is nothing more powerful than a person who can say exactly what they mean with clarity and confidence. People don't remember complexity. They don't connect with over-explained thoughts or dressed-up sentences. They remember impact. They remember truth. And truth is best delivered in simple, strong, deliberate language. In a world that often rewards noise, those who speak plainly are often the most respected. Why? Because simplicity reflects mastery. It shows you understand what you're saying. It shows you've thought it through. When you simplify your message, you remove confusion. You cut through the fog. You guide people directly to the point. Most people think that using big words makes them sound smarter. But that's not intelligence. That's insecurity disguised as sophistication. Real intelligence doesn't need decoration. It speaks clearly. It doesn't try to impress. It tries to express. And when you focus on expression over impression, people listen. They feel what you say. They trust it. The greatest communicators in history weren't those who used the most words. They were those who used the right ones. They knew how to shape ideas in ways people could understand. They chose clarity over complexity. They focused on connection, not confusion. And they didn't speak to show off. They spoke to serve. You don't need to prove how much you know. You need to prove how well you understand. When you simplify your message, you show people that you've done the work of thinking, that you've stripped away the fluff, that you've boiled down your ideas into something clear, sharp, and useful. Simplicity doesn't mean dumbing things down. It means distilling them. It means refining. It means respecting your listener's time and attention. It means being so clear with your words that they leave no room for doubt, no room for misinterpretation, no room for wasted space. When your language is simple, your impact is loud. You don't need to shout. You don't need to stretch your sentences. Your words hit harder because they land clean. They don't wander. They don't drift. They arrive and they stay. Look around and you'll see it. So many people overcomplicate their communication. They layer their sentences with unnecessary words. They dance around their point instead of walking straight toward it. They confuse being elaborate with being effective. But clarity is the real power. And clarity is born from simplicity. When you speak simply, you invite people in. You don't create distance with jargon or ambiguity. You don't create a wall with your words. You create a bridge. You say what needs to be said, and you let that be enough. Think about the most important messages in your life, the lessons that stuck, the words that moved you. They were probably simple. Maybe it was keep going. Maybe it was you've got this. Maybe it was I believe in you. Those phrases didn't need decoration. They didn't need complexity. They were powerful because they were direct. And they landed right where they were supposed to, at the core. Simplicity takes courage. It means stripping away the extras and trusting that what you're saying is strong enough to stand on its own. It means resisting the urge to sound impressive and choosing instead to sound honest. That's not easy, especially in a culture that often values style over substance. But once you master simplicity, your words will begin to work for you. They'll travel further, they'll resonate deeper, they'll make people stop and think. If you want to become a more effective communicator, start cutting out what you don't need. Every extra word waters down your message. Every overcomplicated phrase creates distance. Your job is not to show how much you can say. It's to say what matters in the fewest, clearest words possible. This applies to everything. Conversations, emails, presentations, interviews. The more you simplify, the more power your words will carry. People are overwhelmed with information. They don't want more noise. They want clarity. They want direction. They want truth without the fluff. Practice removing filler words. Don't say, in my honest opinion, when you could just say what you believe. Don't say, I'm not sure. But maybe when you could say, here's what I think. Don't use words when 5 will do. Every time you speak, ask yourself, is this word necessary? Is this sentence clear? Can I make this simpler? The goal is not to sound robotic. The goal is to sound real. Speak like you mean it. Speak like you're not trying to impress anyone. Speak like your words are tools, not decorations. Tools to build trust. Tools to deliver truth. Tools to create impact. Even in emotional moments, simplicity wins. When someone's hurting, they don't need a speech. They need sincerity. They need words that feel real. I'm here for you. You're not alone. I understand these are simple, but they hit hard because they're true. Because they're grounded. Because they don't try too hard. The same applies to leadership. If you want people to follow you, be clear. Don't complicate your message. Don't hide your meaning behind big words. Speak plainly. Show them where you're going. Show them why it matters. Show them you believe it. When you simplify your words, you simplify people's understanding. You give them direction. You give them confidence. You give them the space to think, reflect, and act. This is especially important when you're under pressure. In moments of stress or conflict, clarity matters more than ever. Don't let your emotions hijack your message. Stay calm. Strip your words down to their essence. Speak slowly, speak simply, and you'll be heard more clearly. The truth is, people respect those who communicate with precision. When your words are clean and sharp, you sound like someone who knows what they're talking about. You sound like someone who's not trying to prove anything. You sound like someone who leads. Think of your words like a blade. A dull blade is clumsy. It takes effort to cut through anything. But a sharp blade slices clean. It gets straight to the point. That's what simplicity does to your speech. It sharpens it. It makes every sentence cut through the noise. To build this skill, you need to practice. Start journaling. Take your thoughts and try to express them as clearly as possible. Remove anything that's not essential. Get to the heart of what you're saying. Then speak those words out loud. Feel their strength. Notice how they land. Also, read great communicators. Study how they use language. Notice how the most impactful sentences are often the simplest. Learn from that. Model it. Practice it until it becomes second nature here. You'll know you've mastered simplicity when people start telling you. You always make things so clear. That's not just a compliment. That's a reflection of your clarity. That's a sign your words are cutting through. That's the mark of someone who doesn't just talk, they communicate. Simplicity is not just a communication tactic. It's a mindset. It's a way of thinking, a way of living. When you simplify your words, you start to simplify your life. You stop overthinking. You stop complicating things. You focus on what matters. And that clarity flows into everything you do. You begin to see that less really is more. That saying one thing clearly is more powerful than saying things vaguely. That directness is not harsh. It's helpful. That truth doesn't need backup singers. It just needs a clear voice. And that voice can be yours if you're willing to do the work. If you're willing to slow down, strip away the noise, and speak with courage. Not the courage to impress, but the courage to be understood. The courage to keep things clear, clean, and simple. Because at the end of the day, your message is not about you. It's about who's listening. It's about reaching them, helping them, guiding them. And the best way to do that is to speak so clearly. They don't have to guess what you meant. They just get it. Speak with purpose. Speak with clarity. Speak with simplicity. And you'll find that people will not only hear you, they'll remember you. Not because you said a lot, but because you said the right thing in the right way at the right time. That's the kind of voice that cuts through the noise. That's the kind of presence that builds respect. That's the kind of communicator you're becoming. Keep simplifying, keep sharpening, keep speaking like every word matters, because it does. Chapter 4. Practice daily conversations to build lasting speaking confidence. If you want to develop unshakable speaking confidence, you must practice speaking daily, not once a week. Not just in meetings or big moments, but every single day. Confidence isn't built in silence. It's built in conversation. The more you use your voice, the more power you unlock inside of it. And the truth is, you don't need a stage to get better. You just need the will to start speaking more often, wherever you are, with whoever is around. Speaking confidence is not something you're born with. It's something you earn. You earn it by stepping into conversations even when you feel unsure. You earn it by pushing your voice out of hiding. You earn it by trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. The voice inside you doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be practiced. Most people wait until they're ready to speak up. That's a mistake. If you wait until you're fearless, you'll be waiting forever. Fear shrinks only when action grows. The fastest way to overcome hesitation is to put yourself in the middle of real conversations again and again until that hesitation fades. Daily repetition will remove that awkwardness you once felt. It will replace self-doubt with self-rust. It will turn discomfort into strength. You don't need to rehearse speeches to build confidence. Just talk. Talk to your friends with more awareness. Talk to strangers with curiosity. Talk to your reflection in the mirror when no one's watching. Ask questions. Share opinions. Speak with energy even if your words tremble. It's not about sounding flawless. It's about becoming comfortable in your own expression. When you speak every day, you train yourself to think on your feet. You stop over-planning every sentence. You stop freezing up when the spotlight is on you. Daily conversation gives you practice in navigating uncertainty. You learn to flow. You learn to adapt. You learn that silence is not your enemy, and neither are mistakes. You learn to bounce back, to adjust, to stay grounded even when your thoughts come out differently than expected. Speaking confidence is a skill, not a talent. And skills get better with practice. Think about how athletes train their bodies daily to stay sharp. You must do the same with your voice. Speak when it's uncomfortable. Speak when your mind says, "Be quiet." Because every time you challenge that voice, you grow stronger. You get one step closer to becoming the person who speaks up without overthinking it. Don't wait for the big moments to start practicing. Use the small ones. They're everywhere. Talk to the barista. Talk to the cashier. Ask your co-workers how they're really doing. Respond to that text with a voice message instead of just typing. Join a conversation you'd normally avoid. Say something in meetings even when no one asks you to. These moments matter. They're your training ground. What you say doesn't have to be groundbreaking. It just has to be said. You don't need the perfect sentence. You need your real voice. The more you speak, the more you refine your delivery. You start to notice your tone, your pace, your volume. You adjust. You grow. You evolve. You start to own your space in conversations instead of shrinking in them. Daily conversations also teach you how to connect with people. Confidence isn't just about sounding strong. It's about making others feel seen. When you learn to listen and respond with attention, your words become more than just sounds. They become tools of connection. You build trust. You create resonance. And you start to feel confident, not because you dominate conversations, but because you can hold space within them. Many people avoid speaking because they're afraid of judgment. But the more you speak, the more you realize that people aren't paying as much attention to your flaws as you think. Most of the time, they're too busy thinking about their own. Once you realize that freedom comes, you begin to speak with less pressure. You stop trying to sound impressive and start focusing on being real. That shift creates confidence that doesn't rely on applause. It relies on self-respect. Speaking every day also helps you find your authentic voice. We all have one, but most people never use it because they're too used to hiding behind filters. Filters of politeness, filters of fear, filters of insecurity. But when you speak often, those filters fall away. You start saying what you really mean. You start expressing how you really feel. And when your words start aligning with your truth, that's when real confidence arrives. You don't need to sound like someone else to be confident. You don't need a deep voice, or perfect grammar, or a polished accent. You need to sound like you clearly, calmly, courageously. The more you practice daily conversations, the easier it becomes to show up as yourself. And the more you show up as yourself, the less you'll care about what others think. It's not about talking more. It's about talking with presence. Even short conversations, when done with intention, build your strength. Speak with clarity. Speak with awareness. Speak with energy. Even if it's quiet energy, your presence is felt when you believe in your own words. At first, you might stumble. That's okay. Let yourself sound unsure. Let yourself fumble through a few awkward exchanges. That's part of the process. Every confident speaker you admire once struggled to find their rhythm. They didn't get there by avoiding conversations. They got there by stepping into them daily and learning from each one. The key is not to measure your progress by how perfect you sound, but by how much more comfortable you feel. If yesterday you hesitated to speak, and today you said something small, celebrate that. That's growth. That's you building the muscle of expression. And just like any muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it gets. You'll notice something powerful happening over time. The more you speak, the more clearly you think, the faster your brain organizes your ideas, the easier it becomes to express complex thoughts in simple terms. That mental clarity boosts your confidence because you're no longer scrambling for words. You're leading with them. This daily habit also trains you to stay grounded under pressure. When you practice speaking in everyday situations, you're building the resilience to handle high-stakes moments. You're conditioning yourself to stay calm, focused, and articulate even when you're nervous. And that's what real confidence looks like. Not the absence of fear, but the ability to speak through it anyway. Don't underestimate the power of consistency. One conversation might not change you, but hundreds will. A few words spoken daily may seem small, but they compound over time. What feels like effort today becomes ease tomorrow. What once felt like a risk becomes second nature. Even your body begins to change. Your posture improves. Your breathing becomes more natural. Your gestures align with your words. You stop hiding. You stop shrinking. You begin to take up space, not with volume, but with presence. That's the kind of confidence that's unshakable. And remember, speaking isn't just about sharing ideas. It's about sharing energy. When you speak with conviction, people feel it. When you speak with warmth, they lean in. When you speak with honesty, they remember you. That kind of presence isn't developed overnight. It's cultivated conversation by conversation, day by day. The world doesn't need more perfect speakers. It needs more real ones. More people willing to speak from the heart. More people willing to start small. Speak often and grow strong. You don't need a microphone to make your voice count. You just need the discipline to use it even when no one's clapping. So from this day forward, speak more. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait to feel ready. Make conversations your training ground. Make every interaction an opportunity to grow. Use your voice, because the more you do, the more powerful it becomes. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll look back and notice something has changed. You won't be the person who hides anymore. You'll be the one who speaks calmly, clearly, and confidently because you earned it. One daily conversation at a time. Chapter: Eliminate filler words to sound more self-assured. If you want to command attention and be taken seriously, your words must carry weight. And eliminating filler words is the first step to sounding truly self-assured. Every time you say, like you know, or actually, you chip away at your credibility. These tiny unconscious habits weaken your message and give others permission to doubt your confidence. But when you cut them out, your speech gains power and clarity. Your voice becomes sharper, your presence stronger, and your ideas more convincing. Filler words are a silent confidence killer. They sneak in when your mind is searching for the next thought or when nerves creep up. These words serve no purpose except to fill space, but their impact is far from neutral. Each filler distracts, your listener signaling hesitation or uncertainty. It's as if you're telling the world, "I'm not sure about what I'm saying." Even if you believe in your message deeply, the frequent use of filler words tells a different story. The good news is that this habit is completely within your control. Filler words aren't a sign of intelligence or knowledge. They're a habit of habit. Like any habit, they can be broken. The moment you become aware of them, you gain the power to change your speech patterns. Your voice is a muscle, and removing fillers is like strengthening that muscle to project a cleaner, clearer sound. Start by simply listening. Record yourself during casual conversations or presentations. Play it back and notice how often fillers appear. The truth is, you might be surprised by how many you use without realizing it. Awareness is the first breakthrough. It's not about beating yourself up for each or like, but about acknowledging them as opportunities for improvement. Once you recognize your fillers, begin to replace them. Instead of filling the gap with meaningless sounds, practice pausing. A pause is far more powerful than any filler word. It gives your mind space to catch up and your listener time to absorb your message. Silence can feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort signals growth. It shows you're learning to trust your own voice without crutches. Pausing before speaking also makes you appear more thoughtful. People will perceive you as deliberate, calm, and in control. Pauses create rhythm and emphasis. They highlight the importance of what you say next. When you master the art of pausing, you turn your natural hesitations into moments of impact. Eliminating filler words also sharpens your mental clarity. The habit of speaking with fillers often reflects a scattered thought process. When you slow down and speak intentionally, your thoughts become more organized. Your mind aligns with your voice. This alignment creates a sense of mastery over your communication, which breeds even more confidence. Practice speaking slowly and deliberately in low-pressure settings. Engage in conversations where you consciously avoid fillers. It might feel unnatural at first, but that's just your brain rewiring. Gradually, this new way of speaking will become your default. You will no longer need to consciously think about avoiding fillers. Your speech will simply become cleaner and more purposeful. Another important aspect is to stop rushing your words. Often fillers slip in because we want to speak faster than we think. When you speed through your speech, your brain scrambles to connect ideas, and fillers creep in as verbal placeholders. Slow down. Speak at a pace that allows your thoughts to flow smoothly. This not only reduces fillers, but also increases your listeners' understanding and engagement. Confidence is not about talking more or faster. It's about saying what matters clearly and directly. Each filler word detracts from that clarity. Each one chips away at your authority. Imagine how powerful your speech would sound if every word had meaning and every sentence was crisp. That's the level of self-assurance that comes when you eliminate fillers. The impact of cutting out fillers extends beyond your voice. It changes how you feel inside. You start to believe your message is worth hearing without fluff or hesitation. You build trust in your own communication skills. That trust radiates outward and transforms how others respond to you. People listen more attentively. They take your ideas seriously. Your presence commands respect. To accelerate your progress, consider incorporating simple exercises into your daily routine. Practice reading aloud from a book or article, consciously avoiding filler words. Record these sessions and listen back for improvement. Challenge yourself to hold brief pauses where fillers would normally appear. Over time, these small exercises build your vocal discipline. You can also practice speaking in front of a mirror. Watch your facial expressions, your breath, and your mouth movements. Notice when fillers sneak in and how you respond. This visual feedback strengthens your awareness and control over your speech. If you're preparing for a specific conversation or presentation, rehearse with a focus on eliminating fillers. Visualize yourself speaking clearly and confidently. Imagine your audience fully engaged and responsive. This mental rehearsal strengthens your inner confidence and reduces anxiety, which often fuels filler use. Remember, eliminating filler words is not about sounding robotic or unnatural. It's about reclaiming control over your voice so that it reflects your true self, clear, calm, and confident. Your personality and passion should shine through every word. Removing fillers simply polishes your delivery and removes distractions. Every step you take toward reducing fillers is a step towards stronger communication. The journey may be gradual, but the results are profound. As your speech becomes more purposeful, your presence grows. You'll notice more doors open, more connections deepen, and more influence develop. All because your voice carries the weight it deserves. Don't underestimate the power of small changes made consistently. Cutting out fillers may seem like a minor detail, but its ripple effect touches every aspect of your personal and professional life. People will listen to you differently. They will value your opinions more. You will feel empowered to speak up and be heard. This change also builds resilience. When you speak clearly, you reduce misunderstandings. You prevent your message from being lost in confusion. You save yourself from having to backtrack or explain yourself multiple times. Clear communication is efficient communication, and efficiency breeds confidence. Eliminating filler words is a form of respect. respect for yourself and for your audience. When you honor your message by delivering it cleanly, you honor those who listen by giving them your full attention and clarity. This mutual respect creates deeper trust and opens pathways for meaningful dialogue. The path to cutting fillers is a commitment to excellence in how you express yourself. It's a refusal to let unconscious habits sabotage your impact. It's a daily choice to show up fully, to speak deliberately, and to lead with authenticity. Start today by simply noticing, then practice pausing, slow down, speak clearly. With time, this discipline will become your new normal. Your voice will become a source of strength, not hesitation. Your words will echo with confidence, inspiring trust and respect wherever you go. When you master the art of speaking without fillers, you step into a new level of personal power. You communicate not just what you think, but who you are. You prove to yourself that your voice matters and the world listens. Chapter: Sharpen your thoughts by thinking before you speak. If you want to be respected when you speak, you must first respect your own thoughts enough to sharpen them before they leave your mouth. Every word that comes out of you is either building your credibility or weakening it. There is no neutral speech. People are constantly forming impressions based on how clearly and deliberately you express yourself. This is why thinking before speaking is a form of power. It's a discipline that separates the impulsive from the intentional, the reactive from the composed, the uncertain from the sharp.